The U.S. economy grew by 5.7% last year, the largest growth in decades. So why is public opinion so sour? Welcome to MOMocrats MOMochat, part of the Demcast family of podcasts. I'm Donna Schwartz Mills with Aliza Worthington today. Carol Lee is off. And once again, we are trying out video and we're having, mixed success.
Well, I'm not tech savvy at all.
Well, I don't think I am anymore either. So
you're better than I am.
We'll see how we do. Bear with us, people. We are experimenting with different platforms to do for a permanent one to switch to, and we'll keep you informed on where to find us in the future. But let's get back to the subject at hand. This economy is really, really outstanding. And yet Biden's numbers are in the tank. And I know that some of it is the inflation, which is, some of that is due to the economy because there's so much demand from consumers.
Right.
Part of that is due to the supply chain issues and the pandemic.
Right.
And part of that is due to the higher oil prices, which is also due to the pandemic.
Right.
And it's a worldwide phenomenon. And I don't see a lot of the media putting it into that context.
I was going to say that there's a direct correlation between media coverage and his poll numbers. The media is doing the polling and the media is doing the messaging. And no matter how many times the Democrats will get on TV and talk about their accomplishments, which I see them doing, the reporters in the press room, in Psaki's press conferences, and the reporters when they get a hold of Biden, and pundits when they get on the talk shows, like to talk about how terrible the Democrats are doing. And the media, when they're asking questions, are using right-wing talking points. And they are, this is an extreme example. This is a really extreme example. So I almost hesitate to use it. But saying for the third time that this is an extreme example, I feel sort of, alleviates me of like the responsibility. But just this week, there was a reporter in Psaki's press conference from the Christian Broadcast Network. How these people get press passes and credentials is really thoroughly beyond me, other than the administration going like way out of its way to show that they are not going to restrict access of information to any segment of the population.
Of course, they're still accused of that.
Of course they are. Censorship, blah, blah, don't get me started. But anyway, so this reporter asked the question, and mind you, this was her first day in Jen Psaki's press shop. So this was really stunning. She said something to the effect of, many people say, which already is a big, you don't do that in Psaki's press room.
Right.
That something bad about the economy, something inflation, right? Oh, no, that Build Back. What do you say to people who say that Build Back Better isn't paid for?
Right.
Or something like that. And that it's contributing to inflationary concerns and blah, blah, something like that. And she said, I'm sorry, that Build Back Better is not paid for? And the reporter said, yes. And of course, Psaki said, who's saying that?
Right.
Who are the many people?
And she couldn't name anybody.
She stumbled so hard, and she was eventually, first, there was like 1 second of silence. And then Psaki gave her an answer. It is paid for. It's completely paid for. And then
it also isn't passed yet, so it's not affecting the economy at all right now.
Right. But then there was like another moment of silence before Psaki again had the mercy to jump in and say something. And then there was literally, I counted on the counter, 3 seconds of just silence where she was like looking at her phone. And it was the worst example of unpreparedness, not knowing what the hell she was talking about. And then she literally went on CBN. Her name was Caitlin Burke, later, and talked about how she at least had the presence of mind to admit she was mortified at having been so unprepared. But she also admitted on air on Christian Broadcasting Network that her producer wanted a question on inflation, and this was a question that a financial expert at CBN suggested she ask. So she just read it off,
and didn't do any background research on her own.
No research, no homework, nothing. So again, for the fourth time, an extreme example. And maybe almost not as bad as someone like Peter Doocy, who I actually do believe knows what's going on.
Yes.
And intentionally twists the language in the situation, and intentionally tries to twist the narrative.
To ask stupid questions.
and questions, and put words in people's mouths, in ways that I think is, almost worse than just, being a dumbass.
It was kind of fun to see that I was not the only person cheering President Biden's hot mic moment with Doocy.
Yes. Yeah, that was, so many people were like, that's the guy I elected. That's my guy. That's Joe. And, I think my favorite comment was that Psaki saw that and said, can I do that? Because she has to deal with him every day.
Yeah, but she whips them into place.
Oh, she is just so classy, though, and polite about the way she does it, So she's like has to exercise all this restraint.
Yeah.
And Biden in one mic moment just says like what everybody, including Psaki, is saying, like, what a stupid son of a bitch,
But again, unlike the former guy, President Biden called him. And
he called him to smooth things over.
Yeah, made it clear it wasn't personal to him.
Yep.
Where you and I, it would be totally personal.
Yeah, I'm not even really sure that I buy that it's not personal, but in Doocy's defense,
he told Hannity.
He told Hannity that the air had been cleared.
Yes.
And that it was a nice conversation, and that and Hannity was like, but did he apologize? And he said that Biden said it's nothing personal, pal. Yeah. And he would not say that Biden apologized. And I'm really glad, because Biden didn't apologize. And he shouldn't have apologized, because the press every single day, back to the fact that, his poll numbers, the mood of the country is so sour.
Yeah.
Partly because of the economy.
Yeah.
I think is so largely due to the way this press is framing, even I'm sorry about my phone, even, allegedly legitimate, allegedly liberal press like the New York Times. If you take I
The
mean,
New
right.
York Times.
That face. This is a
See,
good
we
one.
are gaining something with the video, right?
I'm telling you, but if you'll look at the growth rate, they had some side by side of, when the economy grew, whatever it was, 2.5% under Trump, and the adjectives they used, they said it was a robust 2.5%, and the same 2.5% for Biden was a disappointing 2.5%. And it's just, it was the exact side, but it was indisputable. How is
they
it?
Tried to make the case that there was context, that they were comparing it with the economists' expectations at the time. So Trump,
you know what?
Trump benefited from low expectations,
right? And so they did they say that?
Not in so many words,
right?
No.
Exactly. I mean, and that when they talked about a robust 2.5% for Trump, did they put it in the context of, well, nobody expected anything from this fucking idiot? No, they didn't. Because they're not honest.
And so right now, on top of the inflationary pressures, because of the inflationary pressures, the Fed is finally, after 13 years, going to start raising rates.
Yep.
And, so since 2009, when we had the big recession, the economy has been propped up, or rather the stock market has been propped up by the Fed. And now the Fed is like, well, the economy is strong and robust now, and we don't need to prop it up anymore. And then naturally, the stock market starts to get volatile.
To get wobbly.
A lot of this is a correction. There are a lot of stocks out there that are overvalued. But we have gotten into the habit of rating the economy as a whole by what the stock market is doing. And that's also wrong.
That is wrong.
And I say that as someone who has taken a hit on our 401k this week.
Yeah.
But you want these securities to be right priced, and, at least I haven't invested in crypto or NFTs.
Thank you.
Oh.
Here's your NFT. Okay. There.
Okay. So for those of you that are on audio only, Aliza has created a beautiful little stick figure on a Post-it note.
On a pink Post-it note.
On a pink Post-it note, and he's smiling.
They're smiling. We don't know.
They're smiling. We don't know their gender. Yes. You're right.
We're not going to presume. Okay.
So there's your NFT.
There's your NFT. That's for you.
You just created art.
I created art. Who wants to give me whatever they're going to give me for that, to own that on the internet? I guess. I mean, who the fuck knows?
Oh my goodness! What a great idea to raise some money for the MOMocrats.
Oh yeah, hey man, and here you can own. I'll even sign it. You guys want it? You can own this. I promise, you can own it. It'll be yours. I'll never use it again. I think. I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't even know how that shit works. But I mean, I don't even know how the stock market works. I don't know. I don't get it. But the truth is, the same people who are so fucking mad about the stock market, and they're saying, look at the stock market, or people who are struggling to put food on the table aren't worried about the stock market doesn't do anything for them.
Right.
The people who are in minimum wage jobs or who have lost their jobs, okay, those people are not impacted by the stock market. So the volatility, so that's the other reason why measuring how well the economy is doing by how the stock market's doing, that's really only a measure for people who own stocks.
Right.
And the Fed propping up the stock market, it benefits the owners of those stocks, and richer people, what does that do? What is the Fed going to do for the people who, the thing that's going to help the people who are struggling and need to make it into the middle class, is going to be the things in the Build Back Better Act.
Yeah.
The things that, help, people go back to school, people with parents with childcare, all of those things.
Especially since higher interest rates are going to make it that much harder to buy a house.
Or if you need to buy a car, which has also been impacted by the supply chain things. Cars are harder to come by.
Yeah,
especially used cars.
I read this week that we still only have like a 5-day supply of chips for manufacturers to put into things like cars and stuff. And so, part of what the Biden administration has been doing is making deals to build more manufacturing, to bring more things like chip manufacturing back to the States.
Right.
And they announced a new facility that Intel is building in the Midwest that will create homegrown chips and jobs. And that was barely a blip in the
I didn't even know that.
That was barely a blip.
Yeah. And infrastructure, which did pass, thankfully, at least is in the, thankfully, it's terrible, but it's in the news today because a bridge in Pittsburgh collapsed, completely buckled in the center.
Just hours before Biden
was set to visit Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Yeah.
To talk about the economy and infrastructure.
Right.
So that is in the news, and that is something that's passed, and that is also something that is going to give people jobs and fortify, the infrastructure in this nation when we used to be number one in the nation, and now what are we? And we're way down there in infrastructure.
Oh God, yes.
It's terrible.
Yeah. So, and that was all part of the bipartisan bill that passed last year.
Yeah.
There is more infrastructure to be passed in Build Back Better, depending on what Joe Manchin wants.
Right. But Joe Manchin doesn't care about human infrastructure. That's, technically.
No. And that's a problem. I heard while I was half asleep an interview with Pramila Jayapal today, where she is saying, hey, the Build Back Better bill is written. We just need to see what Manchin will accept and just take those parts.
Yeah.
And slap it together for a bill that will pass. And I still have my doubts that Manchin will go along with it because he keeps moving the damn goalposts.
He does. He moves them all the time.
And then who knows what Cinema's going to do?
Well, she's a ticking time bomb. I just don't know. Maybe time bomb's not the right word, but she's just completely unpredictable.
Yeah.
And
so, which brings us to the big news this week, which was Stephen Breyer's retirement, and that Joe Biden will get to make good on his promise to nominate an African-American woman. He has made clear that that is his intent. We have all been breathlessly looking at the likely candidates that the media have identified, and they all look fantastic.
They do.
And you've got the predictable white male backlash.
We've got, so this is interesting to me because the backlash is coming in two forms. One of them is direct, and the other one is really passive aggressive. And
elaborate on that.
I will. I'll tell you. The direct backlash is the bullshit reverse racism argument. So,
which is a reflex.
It's just the reflexive. isn't that doing the same thing as deciding that you're not going to choose somebody because they're Black? Isn't that the same thing? You can't choose somebody. You're not supposed to choose somebody just based on their race or gender.
As if they forget Clarence Thomas.
As if they forget Clarence Thomas, as if they forget 400 years of excluding people based on race and gender.
Right.
As if there's nothing that needs doing to continue to level that playing field.
Right.
As if they have the ability, as if they've even looked at the judiciary across the country and seen still how tilted the playing field is, right? So there's that. But then there's the passive aggressive white male bullshit where everybody and his brother is trying to find a way to get Joe Biden to remove Kamala Harris from the vice president's position.
Oh, that one. Yes. What? Yeah.
Can somebody, I mean, it comes in different forms. Like there's them trying to say, okay, appoint Kamala Harris and then put Liz Cheney in there as vice president. No. No.
What about, I saw the one with Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney. Two more white guys. Yeah, and one of them a fucking conservative. No. And then there's others that are saying, appoint Michelle Obama. If you want a Black woman, do a Michelle Obama. Well, what you're really saying, I've seen this on Twitter and it's true. What you're really saying is that you really only know the names of like 3 Black women.
Right.
Okay, Kamala Harris, Stacey Abrams, and Michelle Obama. And first of all, Michelle Obama has repeatedly for years and years and years stated unequivocally she wants no position in politics or public life at all.
Right.
She does not want to be in politics. She does not want a job on the Supreme Court. This is not what she wants. And yet, people still, white men particularly, keep saying, pushing her for, I want her to do this.
Because they loved her so much when she was first lady.
Because they were so nice to her. And then the other thing is that I love is they think it's hilarious to posit the idea that he should put Anita Hill on the court.
Who is not a Democrat.
I don't even care. What they're doing is they're saying, let's put somebody who's been sexually harassed on the bench with her harasser.
Right. From a just desserts thing, I understand the fantasy.
Yeah, but why would she want to be there?
She wouldn't. And we don't want her there because she's too old. What they have been doing is...
all they're doing is they're just like in their little minds, they want these little fantasies and they're like not even considering the women they are throwing around into these fantasies. And it is so gross.
What the bigger picture is.
Right.
It's not personal that way.
Right.
True. I would love to see Clarence Thomas impeached.
That
removed,
would be good. That would be justice for her. Ginny Thomas needs to go to jail.
Yeah. He should be at least recusing himself from this affirmative action case that the court is going to hear.
Yeah.
And he never recuses himself.
Well, he's not going to this time either.
No, because he's corrupt. So, but big picture is we need young, progressive, excellent jurists that look more like America.
Yes.
And the women that they've been focusing on the news as the short list, Ketanji Brown Jackson. I forget the name. The woman who's the California Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, hold on.
Who's only 45.
Yes, she's very young.
That's what we need. Because the people that Trump appointed were all young and a lot of them were unqualified. And, that they're looking at what the Heritage Foundation has done in identifying these judges for the Republicans is planning for a long-term takeover of the courts.
Yeah.
We have to fight fire with fire, which kind of brings us back to that whole thing with talking about the press, using right-wing talking points, Our voters, at least the hardcore ones, respond to logic and policy and a well-reasoned argument. And I think what we need to do to get these swingy voters is to start fighting the culture wars on our side.
On our side. Yeah, because people are on our side.
All of our policies poll well.
Yep.
But the media doesn't frame them well. So how do we go on the offensive?
By the way, the California Supreme Court Justice is Leandra Kruger.
That's her name. Yes.
And Michelle Childs is the third one.
Michelle Childs, the one from South Carolina.
Yeah, she's on the district court in South Carolina.
Yes. And then, of course, a dream one who's older than these others, but would still be so poetic, would be Sherilyn Ifill.
Oh, yeah. She's not off the list.
No. And it would be so fitting because she has had the role that Thurgood Marshall had, the same position.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Because replacing Thurgood Marshall with Clarence Thomas was
a Shonda.
Yes. It was exactly what they did by giving us Amy Coney Barrett to erase Ruth Bader Ginsburg's achievements.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah. And in a perfect world, Stephen Breyer would be able to resign when he felt like it.
Yeah, but you know what?
It's not a perfect world. Ever since Mitch McConnell broke the court, and I know they like to blame it on us when we wouldn't vote for Bork, but mind you that there were Republicans who didn't vote for Bork either.
Right.
Because he was too extreme. But, they like to forget that part. Mitch McConnell broke the court. And everybody who is upset with Ruth Bader Ginsburg for not resigning sooner, you have to say she had no idea that when Scalia died, that McConnell would just keep that seat open while Vladimir Putin helped Trump steal an election. And then at that point, she couldn't resign while Trump was there. Yeah. She couldn't resign while this seat was open for a year.
Yeah.
When did they want her to resign?
Yeah.
Hindsight. But, really. So,
yeah,
of course.
But Breyer knows now.
Breyer
knows.
That's
why everybody was screaming for him to do it. And thank God he listened, and you have to be delusional to think that a court is not a judge's seat is not political. You're appointed by someone who was elected, who ran for office, who has certain values, and who is going to, politics plays into it, period. That's life.
Well, in today's world, yes.
Always judges interpret the law based on their beliefs and their prejudices and the way.
But you used to have a bipartisan, if they were qualified.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
They would be voted in. Regardless of that, it was a comedy that the parties gave each other. The president gets to choose. The president gets to choose someone of their choosing. And if that person isn't wildly inappropriate, there was broad approval.
Right. And it used to be inappropriate to be, a Nazi.
I laugh because it just hurts too much.
Before I don't want to move. That's sort of a segue into, book banning and mouse and all that. But I'm,
let's.
I don't want to. I'm in a bit of it based on like with the media. There's another example I have of there's a Slate article that says Biden. I'm kind of in a Twitter tiff with a bunch of people who are rightly, understandably concerned, upset about the migrant situation, immigrants in ICE facilities and things like that. And that's all very upsetting. And I applaud people who are fighting you know, for those folks. I, do what I can for them too in my own ways. And but there's an article that says Biden's prison boom. And it says that he launched a prison boom under which, the detainees in ICE ballooned, ballooned is in quotes, to 25,000 people. But it's actually down from 50,000 people that there were in 2020. But it had been lower because of anyway, it's like it's a playing with numbers thing.
Right. And does this have anything to do with the court making him keep some of these Trump policies going?
Some of it has to do with that. Some of it, has to do with, and I pointed out that some of the people there, the article, from the Slate article, to get that 70%, there was something, oh, I forget the stupid thing.
It's harder to look things up on the while we're talking.
I know it is hard to keep up. But basically, I clicked through the Slate article to find out where they got this 70% number.
Yeah.
That it's gone up 70%. And it took me all the way, and I had to click through 3 or 4 different articles to get to the original citing of it. And it was, here it is. So the number of people held in ICE detention has increased by 70% since Biden took office. These have almost all been due to haphazard logjams on the front end, court closures, sentencing delays, jail to prison, transfer stoppages, etc. That have slowed.
So pandemic related?
That's what it sounds like. So rather than to releases tied to decarceration policies, I don't know. So I clicked through to the 70, to where did they get this 70%? It's increased by 70%. You click through a Truth Out article, and then you finally get to the CBS article from August. That's talking about how a lot of them were afraid to get vaccinated. That ICE ramps up, the article is that ICE ramps up vaccination in immigrants in U.S. custody, but thousands have refused.
Okay.
And so, I'm trying to point this out to them. And they're like, you're dehumanizing the immigrants. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And they're like, that's not true now, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, but so then you're also using the 70% number from an article that, they're saying that article was from August. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's also where you're getting the 70% number. What's, if you're saying that my numbers from this August article aren't good, then, neither are yours. This, and meanwhile, it's Slate, which is a pretty,
pretty progressive,
respected on the left piece of news. Yeah. Written by Eric Reinhardt, how Joe Biden launched a new prison boom.
Sounds like clickbait to me.
Right. And I went down and
what I want to see is Joe Biden launching a new prison boom for insurrectionists.
Yes, and that's what he's trying to do. And speaking of, insurrectionists, we got 14 new subpoenas today.
Some new subpoenas today. It's been kind of a quiet week on the January 6th front while the news media has been focusing on the Supreme Court and on Ukraine, which by this time next week, who knows what is going to be happening in Ukraine, you know? But I was very happy to see those subpoenas issued today.
Yeah, that was
that strikes to the heart of conspiracy.
Right, because it's all around. It's a number. I don't know if it was from 3 or 4 states.
7.
7 states. All
14,
of the ones.
14.
2 from
fake
each
electors
state.
From 7 states.
2 from each state. Okay. Because they allegedly had conversations with Giuliani.
Right. So it continues to get very interesting over there.
Yeah.
But they keep pushing off the date where we'll have these public hearings.
Is that right?
Well,
they keep
you
getting new information
of when it's going to be. Yeah, I just think that this there's so many tentacles to this thing, and it runs so deep, and they are doing a very thorough job.
Yeah.
But gosh, I want to see these hearings. I want to see our people get excited about this election, because that is what is freaking me out in the polling. It is all the Democrats who are retiring, some of whom are retiring because their districts are disappearing, but many of them are retiring because of the way it is out there. And will we find Democrats to step up and run? And what can we do to stop our historic apathy in non-presidential years? That's one of the other reasons why I am excited for the nomination of an African American female to the Supreme Court, because the disappointment with the voting rights bill, thanks to Manchin and Sinema, has discouraged so many of us.
Yeah.
And to see Joe Biden keep a promise where he has the control, could get our people excited again. You want more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
We need a better Congress. We need a better Congress,
Senate.
Period. A 50-50 Senate and a bare majority in the House doesn't do it. I was also happy to see that Nancy Pelosi is going to run for another term.
I was just going to say that.
I know she promised she would step down as Speaker after this term. I still don't think we have anyone as politically savvy as she is. I hope that she is training some people up.
When she announced
she does step down, I would hope that she stays on in an advisory capacity to whoever the next speaker is. But I am glad that she's 80. Of course she wants to retire, but how can she when the situation is still so fraught?
So when she announced that she was running for her seat again, did she say that she was still going to retire as Speaker, or did she leave that open?
She did not mention that whatsoever.
Okay.
So she's keeping her options open.
Good. Okay. Good, because if we maintain the majority and don't increase it in the House by a decent amount, we're really going to need her.
We're going to need
to get
her
the voting
regardless.
Yeah.
But
I mean in the Speaker's chair.
I am so terrified because all the media is saying we're not going to be able to hold on.
Again,
I would like them to be proven wrong, but it's turning into a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is so suppressive. This is the thing that we have to stop. We have to challenge the media every time they say that.
Yeah.
We have to turn it off. We have to tweet at them. We have to say, stop. I am turning off this bullshit.
But we do have to keep the base engaged and excited. So, hooray for Joe Biden. Hooray for Stephen Breyer. Hooray for Joe Biden.
Yep.
Let's get this woman approved.
Yep.
Nominated and approved by our 51 majority.
Yeah, and it's definite that can be done, right? Like that can.
Well, if they go with Ketanji Brown Jackson, what was it, 7 months ago that she was already approved for her position, where she was replacing Merrick Garland on the So both Manchin and Sinema voted yes on
for her,
and they have been. Both of them have been very good on the judges.
They have been. Yeah, that's true. They haven't been giving them. That's one area they have not been giving. Biden a hard time because it doesn't cost money.
Right.
It's not costing the taxpayers anything to appoint a judge.
So we only have like a minute or two left.
Oh God. Because of our technical issues.
Because of our technical issues earlier.
Can we welcome the new first cat?
Oh my goodness, Willow. She is so pretty.
She's so adorable.
She is a beautiful kitty.
Can we end on that note?
Let's end on that note. Welcome, Willow. We hope that you and Commander have many, many happy years in the White House.
I can't wait to start seeing pictures of them together.
Well, let's hope, let's hope Commander is young enough that he can be cat friendly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah. Because Willow's a grown up already. So
yes,
Willow will claim authority.
Well, that is a great thing to end the show on. We will be
another
off
promise
next
kept.
week. Yes, we will be off next week, but back the week later. Check our Facebook page for updates. This is Donna Schwartz saying goodbye for the MOMocrats. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
MOMocrats MOMochat is a proud member of the Demcast family of podcasts.